I introduce to you Jane Astone. Jane is going to be talking about how agroecological enterprises inspire change. Just a short bio whilst I introduce Jane. So Dr. Jane Astone is a financial activist, philanthropic leader, and coalition builder focused on community-led movement solutions. She founded Integrated Capital Investing to catalyze foundations to invest their endowments in regenerative economies and healthy food systems. Jane, please do share your wisdom, and I surely hope many people learn from your speech. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Gertrude, and it's really an honor to speak today on this in this wonderful conference. I've got quite a few slides today, so we're going to be doing some zooming here, but hopefully I won't speak too quickly. First, I want to thank the Alliance for Food Sovereignty in Africa, the Agri-Ecology Fund, and the team of researchers, including Charles Mulozi and Simon Bukenya, our guiding committee and advisory committee, for working on this ongoing research project. I'm going to do a quick overview of the action research project we're engaged in right now, talk about some initial findings, and highlight a few entrepreneurs that are inspiring us, as well as go over some reflections. This has been an ongoing conversation with the Agroecology Fund and the Alliance for Food Sovereignty in Africa for a while around the role of markets and investment and how it impacts the demand for agroecologically produced products. One of the things we've been looking at is how financing can support agroecology alongside grants, policy, and advocacy. Two of the key questions that have been guiding this research is, what do entrepreneurs need to create an enabling environment for agroecology, and what are the financial and non-financial areas of support? And when we talk about entrepreneurs, I just want to be clear, this encompasses a wide range of actors, including individual farmers, cooperatives, private companies, non-governmental organizations, social enterprises, women's associations, etc. One of the questions that we have is, why support agroecological enterprises in the grand scheme? We really believe that this is an essential strategy to improve farmer livelihoods, and we need principled agroecological enterprises to scale agroecology. And this is really an alternative. When we look at our advocacy agendas, we need to have an alternative to propose for public support. And finally, to garner political power, we believe we need a vibrant, principled agroecological entrepreneurial sector and policy environment. Okay, there we go. So this is an ongoing action research project. We're just in phase 1, about 6 months in, so we're really at an initial phase here. And we've surveyed entrepreneurs and interviewed service providers, and we do hope to implement some activities in year 2. Okay, there we go. So what challenges do agroecological entrepreneurs face with investors in Africa? Well, just broadly, investors ignore agroecology as a viable business model. They focus primarily on productivity and income. We've seen with many of the speakers that's problematic. The holistic model of agroecology is ignored. Generally, outside investment comes at $200,000 at a minimum. We'll see more why that's such a challenge. And 80% are domiciled outside of Africa and focused on a limited number of countries. And I just want to note that when we look at credit providers, we do recognize their local banks, microfinance institutions, self-help associations, local traders, and others. So I'm getting a little bit of crosstalk, so if people can mute themselves. Thank you. I just want to say that we do have examples of very large scale agroecological enterprises that are what I call a virtuous cycle of business. This is an example of Komako in Zambia, where farmers are connected to cooperatives, are connected to a principal social enterprise. Okay, so what are our initial findings? This is a map that shows the entrepreneur responses that we've garnered to date. We have had 68 responses and from 17 countries. The majority of our respondents identify as aggregators, small farms, or processors. Okay, is that better? Thumbs up? Okay. And about 20% of the sample were large farmers or exporters. So we think we've reached our target. It is important to realize that this research was through chain referral sampling, which is through our network of AFSA and other colleagues requesting people to fill out our survey. So we have primarily qualitative insights. So the quantitative data that I'm presenting is really to describe the people that are responding to this, but this is not a landscape study or meant to be comprehensive. So this is just an example of, this is the data that we received around how the entrepreneurs characterize their businesses. It's important to realize this does not add up to 100% because people could pick multiple categories. And if you see Busaino fruits and trees below, a group from Jinja, they have multiple sectors. They produce jackfruit, mango, avocado. They also do pulping and juicing. They have an educational farm as well as a business with venue and hospitality and lodging. So a very, very large percentage of these businesses are engaged in agroecological practices. We haven't drilled down more on them, but we will be talking more with them about what practices they're engaging in. So let's look a little bit more at the kinds of characteristics of these businesses. So one of the things that's very clear is that 4/5 of them rely on personal and group savings to actually start and run their businesses. A very small percentage, 1/5, receive bank loans, and grants are in the mix. In terms of non-monetary support, a majority of them receive technical assistance in agriculture, but business advisory services and incubator accelerator training are less often received. When we look at the revenue characteristics of these groups, fully 60% have revenue of under 49,000, which is not so surprising, but we can see that the larger businesses represent a very small percentage. In terms of years of business, I think this is a really interesting point. It's a very dynamic sector. There's a lot going on in terms of new entrants in the area, and fully 1/3 of these businesses have been around for more than 10 years. So it's a very mixed and diverse group. When we asked entrepreneurs what is working for you in accessing capital and markets, the most important thing was reliable markets for them. They talked about good prices, certified produce, contracts with collective sales. The next important thing was good inputs, quality and diversity of production, access to small loans and low interest loans, mutual aid and support, and good networks were all mentioned. When we asked them what challenges do you have in accessing capital and markets, bank loans were the #1 issue, far stripping the other issues. They said they required collateral, they're not adapted to the farming sector, very high interest rates and complexity of the process. And then there were these other areas: processing, market access, the environment, competition from large industrial farms, and implementation, time to pilot their activities. So let's go on to some of these inspiring entrepreneurs who have we learned from. So this is a picture of a cooperative in Uganda, and these are some of our entrepreneurs that we consider as part of the study. This is a group with Kimi Foods. So we briefly tried to map the landscape of what kind of businesses were the entrepreneurs involved in. So these are some of the activities and areas. Obviously, this is not fully comprehensive, but I'm going to look at a few of them. Obviously, product production and aggregation was the bulk of the entrepreneurs, and most of these folks have no social media presence or websites. They're producing products that you would expect that are common in African markets. We have an example here from Guinea and from Togo. Some of the emerging value-added sectors and processing are also quite common. Fortified foods and canning and jarring. We're also finding nut butters, fuels, oils, and flours. Another big sector, we talk a lot about markets, food markets, but actually farm inputs and farmers are a big source of markets for agroecological entrepreneurs. And these are some of the businesses. This is a group from, these are 3 different businesses from Tanzania, Uganda, and Togo that are producing biological seeds and bioentrants. And then finally, farm infrastructure is another area for entrepreneurship that actually contributes very positively to cyclic farming and to increasing productivity. There are many other areas of business that people are innovating in. This is a group in Senegal that's initiating an agroecological market. There are bakeries, restaurants, ecotourism, obviously quite a few wild products such as honey, wild fruits, nuts, and medicinals. And we can't forget that exports are important for some entrepreneurs. So let me go into a few reflections on our initial findings. So what we found in a broad way is that entrepreneurs rely primarily on personal and group savings. Financial products are really not the main consideration for them. Secondly, they engage in very diverse activities and markets. Most entrepreneurs engaged in more than one activity and more than one market. 3, they all talked about their role in connecting farmers to consumers and increasing local nutritious food diversity, and has really been highlighted by COVID-19. One of the things they also talked was how outside providers emphasize production in agroecology over business skills and marketing. 5th, they also know that farmers are seeking high quality bio inputs, and this is primarily due to their low cost, effectiveness, and adaptation. They are experiencing a very challenging environment because of imports, competition from industrial farms, traders, middlemen, unsupportive policies, and poor infrastructure. And finally, we do note that many of them are working at scale through cooperatives and associations to reach thousands. So as I wrap up here, what are some notes of interest? There are some emergence of new entities that are combining what I would say holistic approaches, training and production, engagement with farmers unions and cooperatives, university research support with marketing and distribution and engagement of women. And these are some examples. And what we would like to ask of you is in your country, what agroecological businesses are inspiring you? We're really inviting your feedback and participation. And what kind of support do agroecological businesses need? We know that it's not the same in different countries and different markets, and we're really trying to learn from you and our community. So thank you very much. Please contact myself and Charles Mlozi-Olwenyi, and we look forward to continuing this conversation. Thank you so much.
Thank you so much, Jane, for sharing how agroecological markets can inspire change. And